There's a claim spreading online right now that somewhere in the ruins of Sumer, archaeologists uncovered a warning left by the gods themselves. Not a warning to humans, but a countdown for the gods. A message saying even they were running out of time. It sounds like science fiction. But here's the strange part. Sumerian mythology really does describe gods who argue, who make mistakes, who change their plans halfway through and worry about what comes next. Once you line those stories up next to each other, a very different picture starts to form. The Sumerians never imagined their gods as distant, untouchable, perfect beings floating outside the rules of existence. Their gods lived inside a complicated cosmic order, and that order had teeth. That's where this mystery actually begins. One of the most important centers of Sumerian scholarship was the ancient city of Nippur. Thousands of clay tablets were found there, covering mathematics, administration, hymns, rituals, and myths about the gods. And again, those myths return to the same theme: divine beings wrestling with time, order, destiny, and the fallout of decisions they'd already made. The gods were powerful, but powerful didn't mean unlimited. Take the story of Atrahasis, one of the oldest surviving literary traditions in Mesopotamia. In it, the lesser gods are worked to exhaustion. So humanity gets created to take over the labor. Problem solved. Except it isn't. Humanity grows, fast, too fast. The noise, the numbers, the strain on the world, it becomes too much for the gods to ignore. So they plan something drastic, a flood to wipe the slate clean. At first, that sounds like a simple punishment story. But look closer, and it's something else entirely. The gods aren't watching history from a safe distance. They're reacting to it, scrambling, in real time, to clean up a mess their own decision created. They make a call. That call creates a new problem. So they make another call to fix it. And that pattern repeats through Mesopotamian mythology over and over. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If even the gods have to react to events they didn't see coming, are they operating inside a structure they can't escape either? This is where it gets bigger than one flood story. The Sumerians had a concept called the me, divine powers tied to civilization itself. Kingship, writing, justice, music, craftsmanship, all of it was imagined as a me, a power that could be held, passed on, stolen, fought over, even lost completely. In other words, civilization wasn't guaranteed. It was something the gods themselves could win or lose. And that idea gets even stranger when you look at how the Sumerians tracked time. They were obsessive record keepers, sophisticated mathematics, calendars, astronomy. Their base 60 number system still shapes how we divide hours and angles today. They watched the sky because the movement of stars was tied directly to agriculture, kingship, and ritual life. Now, modern internet theories love to take that real, documented brilliance and stretch it into something else. Secret knowledge of a hidden planet, coded messages from extraterrestrials. There's no solid evidence for any of that. And honestly, the real story doesn't need the embellishment, because the real story is already strange enough. The Sumerians believed the universe ran on cycles, destinies, decrees, consequences, and their myths kept placing the gods inside that system, not above it. Go back to the flood. The Council of Gods votes to wipe out humanity. But one god, Enki, known in later Akkadian text as Ea, secretly breaks ranks and warns a human. One decision, that's all it takes to unravel the entire plan. The council decides one thing. One god interferes. A single human survives, civilization starts over, and the gods are forced to set new terms for how the world works from here. That's not a story about gods with total control. That's a story about competing interests, unintended consequences, and plans that unravel the moment reality pushes back. And that's the real reason the idea of gods running out of time is so compelling. Not because a tablet literally says those words, but because the myths keep circling the same haunting theme. Even divine plans have expiration dates. There's one more clue buried in the records. The Sumerian king list describes rulers who reigned for absurdly long stretches before the flood, numbers clearly wrapped in myth, not meant to be read as literal history. But the existence of that list tells you something real about how the Sumerians thought. Time to them wasn't just the length of a human life. It stretched backward into ages almost too vast to picture. Kings, cities, disasters, and divine decisions all strung together across an enormous timeline. History wasn't random. It had structure, beginnings, turning points, consequences, moments where one order ends and another begins. So here's a thought that might change how you read all of this. What if immortal never meant what we think it means? What if it just meant a different scale of time? A human life is decades. A dynasty is centuries. A civilization might stretch for millennia. From where we're standing, that looks endless. From where the gods are standing, it might just be one more cycle, and cycles turn. Order becomes disorder. A king loses favor. A city falls. A flood erases a world, and then something new begins. So maybe the gods weren't literally counting down to their own extinction. Maybe the real point was simpler and colder. Nothing, not even divine power, sits completely outside of time. Everything has responsibilities. Everything has conflicts. Every plan eventually has to meet reality, which makes a 4,000-year-old myth feel oddly modern. Because we understand deadlines too. We understand unfinished work. We understand exactly what it feels like when a plan takes longer than we thought it would. So is there a secret Nippur tablet proving the gods are running out of time? No, there's no solid evidence that one exists. But the real texts hand us something better than a hidden prophecy. A civilization that looked straight at its own gods and said, "Even you are not outside the rules." Which leaves one last question. If the Sumerians believed every great order eventually reaches a moment of judgment or collapse, were they really talking about the gods at all? Or were they talking about us? If you enjoyed this dive into one of the oldest mysteries in human history, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And let me know in the comments, do you think the Sumerians were describing something literal, or using their gods to talk about something deeper, time, power, and how nothing lasts forever?